Well, hi, everybody. Thanks for joining tonight. I believe everybody should be kind of on mute, both on microphone and on your camera, all the participants. Again, thank you so much for joining. I would recommend, if you haven't done it already, to turn off non-video participants. That way it will, make anybody who's not on camera disappear from the screen. And so as the scene is running, you will only see the people who are on stage. So for example, if you have that feature turned on right now, you should only see me, even if you're in gallery view. I would be the only video on screen. So that is that. Yeah, we can get started. So again, really excited for you to be here for our presentation of the scene from Troilus and Cressida. For those who might not be familiar with what we've been doing over the course of the month, some actors and a director and a dramaturg have been working on this one scene and meeting weekly to work on it and really dive into the text of the scene. It's as all of them can attest, this is an absolute luxury that most professionals do not get, even at major regional theaters, even on Broadway. It's, really happens as quickly as it can. So to have a month to really, look at the text and mine it for all it's worth and continue that process has been really thrilling to watch as an observer on my part. And, they can speak more to that in terms of their experience of it. Now, the other component of this evening is a bit of a Q&A. So if you have any questions for people, you can, let's see, you can send them to me in the chat box. I will, keep note of that. So if you have any questions, for the actors, the director, the dramaturg, anything about the process, you can just drop them in the Zoom chat, and I will bank them for later on. And without further ado, I think that's enough from me. I will introduce, or I guess we'll do really quickly is just kind of run down who you'll be seeing tonight. We have James Newcomb is directing, Gideon Rappaport is the dramaturg, and then in the scene, Ross Hellwig is Troilus, Sapna Kumar is Cressida, and Marcelo Tubert is Pandarus. So now with that all said, let me turn it over to James Newcomb, and he'll share a little bit about the director's process, and we'll go from there.
Hey everybody! I wish I could see you. This has been a joy to work on for the last 3 weeks or so, including tonight. I always feel that whenever I am working on a piece, whether it's a full production or a scene or whatever, that it's an ongoing process, that it is always in the process of becoming, and there's always something else to be found. It's one of the glories of Shakespeare is that it is always giving, and there's always something to be mined. And so with these 3 people, 4, including Gideon, the dramaturg, it has been a joy to try and mine as much as we could out of this scene and have the luxury of the time to do that. And because it's just, as I told them on the first day, because it's only the 5 of us, it can't help but be nothing but definitive. Because any other group that does this scene, that would be definitive too. So I hope you enjoy it, and we're going to think of it as an ongoing rehearsal, and you're going to see the state of the work as it is to date.
All right, and thank you so much, Jamie. And now we have Gideon to share a little bit more and bring you guys into the world of the play.
I'm just going to give a couple words about the background of this play. It's an old story that everybody knew, and Shakespeare decides to treat it in order to use the ancient Greek war between Troy and the Greeks as a instance of a collapsing civilization. What does it look like when civilization dies? The play is to be categorized as a satire. It's not a tragedy, not a comedy, not a history. It's his only satire. and it's about the fall of the ancient civilization and what it would look like. The world is divided in two, the Trojans and the Greeks, and the Thersites character has the tag for the play, nothing but war and lechery. So that's what's going on around the two lovers. The two lovers represent the two sides in the conflict between the Greeks and the Trojans. The Trojans represent stupid and foolish idealism, and the Greeks represent cynicism and detachment. And so the lovers have seen each other before from a distance, but this is the first time they will have been together in the same place. They are brought together by Cressida's uncle, Pandarus. And this is the first time they're seeing each other, and we're seeing them together. That's about all I want to say as background. And so now enjoy Troilus and Cressida, Act 3, Scene 2.
Here he comes. How now? How now? Have you seen my cousin?
No, Pandarus. I stalk about her door like a strange soul upon the Stygian banks, staying for waftage. Oh, be thou my Charon, and give me swift transportance to those fields where I may wallow in the lily beds proposed for the deserver. Oh, gentle Pandar, from Cupid's shoulder, pluck his painted wings and fly with me to Cressida.
Walk here in the orchard. I'll bring her straight.
Expectation whirls me round. The imaginary relish is so sweet that it enchants my sense. What will it be when that the watery palate taste indeed love's thrice repured nectar? Death, I fear me. Swooning destruction, or some joy too fine, too subtle, potent, tuned too sharp in sweetness for the capacity of my ruder powers. I fear it much, and I do fear besides that I shall lose distinction in my joys, as doth a battle when they charge on heaps, the enemy flying.
She's making her ready. She'll come straight. You must be witty now. She does so blush and fetches her wind so short, as if she were frayed with a spirit. I'll fetch her. Oh, it is the prettiest villain. She fetches her breath as short as a new-taken sparrow.
Even such a passion doth embrace my bosom. My heart beats thicker than a feverous pulse, and all my powers do their bestowing lose, like vassalage at unawares encountering the eye of majesty.
Come, come, what need you blush? Shame's a baby. Here she is now. Swear the oaths now to her that you have sworn to me. What? Are you gone again? You must be watched. Are you be made tame, must you? Come your ways, come your ways. And you draw backward, we'll put you in the thills. She has disappeared. Has she not? Do we need to stop here? Sorry.
Okay, we lost.
Okay. Yeah, we're not lost only because she wasn't there. Sorry. Can we come back to the top of Come, What Need You Blush?
Marcelo, can you see her?
Can you see
I
me?
can, but I couldn't see her for a very, very long time.
Okay, she's on screen now.
Oh, I see her now.
Okay.
So we're just going to go back to the top. Where do you want us to go from, Jamie?
Yeah, can we go back to the top of that speech?
Yes.
Pandarus, come, what need you blush?
Yes.
You froze, Marcelo, and
I
that's why
froze?
you had a delay. You froze, and there was a delay.
Oh, and so I never saw her, Right.
Yeah, that's why. That's why. I mean, I don't know, Ross, if you saw him freeze, but hi, everybody. I told you this was our rehearsal.
I saw him freeze too. He did freeze.
So
All right.
if we can actually, let's take it from Troilus. Can we take it from Even Such a Passion?
Sure.
Doth Embrace My Bosom. We'll take it from that beat after Pandarus has exited, and then we'll go into the next beat. All right.
Sounds good. Yep.
All right.
Even such a passion doth embrace my bosom. My heart beats thicker than a feverous pulse, and all my powers do the bestowing lose, like vassalage at unawares encountering the eye of majesty.
Come, what need you blush? Shame's a baby. Here she is now. Swear the oath now to her that you have sworn to me. What? Are you gone again? You must be watched ere you be made tame, must you? Come your ways. And if you draw backward, we'll put you in the thills. Why do you not speak to her? Come, draw this curtain and let's see your picture. Alas the day, how loth you are to offend daylight, and 'twere dark, you'd close sooner. So rub on and kiss the mistress. How now, a kiss in fee farm. Bill there, carpenter, the air is sweet. Nay, you shall fight your hearts out ere I part you, the falcon as the tercel, for all the ducks in the river. Go to.
You have bereft me of all words, lady.
Words pay no debts. Give her deeds. But she'll bereave you of the deeds, too, if she call your activity in question. What? Billing again? Here's in witness whereof the parties interchangeably. Come in. I'll go get a fire.
Will you walk in, my lord?
Oh, Cressida, how often have I wished me thus?
Wished, my lord. The gods grant. Oh, my lord.
What should they grant? What makes this pretty abruption? What too curious drag espies my sweet lady in the fountain of our love?
More dregs than water if my fears have eyes.
What fears make devils of cherubims? They never see truly.
Blind fear, that seeing reason leads, finds surer footing than blind reason, stumbling without fear. To fear the worst oft cures the worst.
Oh, let my lady apprehend no fear. In all Cupid's pageant, there's presented no monster.
Nor nothing monstrous neither.
Nothing but our undertakings when we vow to weep seas, live in fire, eat rocks, tame tigers, thinking it harder for our mistress to devise imposition enough than for us to undergo any difficulty imposed. This is the monstruosity in love, lady, that the will is infinite and the execution confined, that the desire is boundless and the act a slave to limit.
They say all lovers swear more performance than they are able, and yet reserve an ability that they never perform, vowing more than the perfection of 10, and discharging less than the 10th part of 1. They that have the voice of lions and the act of hares, are they not monsters?
Are there such? Such are not we. Praise us as we are tasted. Allow us as we prove. Our head shall go bare till merit crown it. Yet no perfection in reversion shall have a praise in present. We will not name desert before his birth, and being born, his addition shall be humble. Few words to fair faith. Troilus shall be such to Cressida as what envy can say worst shall be a mock for his truth, and what truth can speak truest not truer than Troilus.
Will you walk in, my lord?
What? Blushing still? Have you not done talking yet?
Well, uncle, what folly I commit, I dedicate to you.
Well, I thank you for that. If my lord get a boy of you, you'll give him me. Be true to my lord. If he flinch, chide me for it.
You know your hostages, my uncle, your uncle's word and my firm faith.
Nay, I'll give my word for her, too. Our kindred, though they be longer, they be wooed, they are constant being one. They are burrs, I can tell you. They'll stick where they are thrown.
Boldness comes to me now and brings me heart. Prince Troilus, I have loved you night and day for many weary months.
Why was my Cressida then so hard to win?
Hard to seem one, but I was one, my lord. From the first glance that ever, pardon me. If I confess much, you will play the tyrant. I love you now, but till now, not so much but I might master it. In faith I lie. My thoughts were like unbridled children grown too headstrong for their mother. See, we fools, why have I blamed? Who shall be true to us when we are so unsecret to ourselves? But though I loved you well, I wooed you not. And yet, good faith, I wish myself a man, or that we women had men's privilege of speaking first. Sweet, bid me hold my tongue, for in this rapture I shall surely speak the thing I shall repent. See, your silence, cunning in dumbness, from my weakness draws my very soul of counsel. Stop my mouth.
And shall, albeit sweet music issues thence.
Oh, pretty in faith.
My lord, I do beseech you pardon me. 'Twas not my purpose thus to beg a kiss. I am ashamed. Oh heavens, what have I done? For this time will I take my leave, my lord.
Your leave, sweet Cressida.
Leave? And you take leave till tomorrow morning?
You content you.
What offends you, lady?
Sir, mine own company.
Why, you cannot shun yourself.
Let me go and try. I have a kind of self that resides with you, but an unkind self that itself will leave to be another's fool. I would be gone. Where is my wit? I know not what I speak.
Well know they what they speak that speak so wisely.
Perchance, my lord, I show more craft than love, and fell so roundly to a large confession to angle for your thoughts. You are wise, or else you love not. For to be wise and love exceeds man's might. That dwells with gods above.
Oh, that I thought it could be in a woman, as if it can, I will presume in you, to feed for aye her lamp and flames of love, to keep her constancy in plight and youth, outliving beauties outward, with a mind that doth renew swifter than blood decays. Or that persuasion could but thus convince me that my integrity and truth to you might be affronted with the match and weight of such a winnowed purity and love. How were I then uplifted? But alas, I am as true as truth's simplicity, and simpler than the infancy of truth.
In that, I'll war with you.
Oh, virtuous fight! When right with right wars, who shall be most right? True swains in love shall in the world to come approve their truth by Troilus, when their rhymes, full of protest, of oath and big compare, want similes, truth tired with iteration, as true as steel, as plantage to the moon, as sun to day, as turtle to her mate, as iron to adamant, as earth to the center, yet after all comparisons of truth, as truth's authentic author to be cited, as true as Troilus shall crown up the verse and sanctify his numbers.
Prophet may you be. If I be false, or swerve a hair from truth, when time is old and hath forgot itself, when water drops have worn the stones of Troy, and blind oblivion swallowed cities up, and mighty states characterless are grated to dusty nothing, yet let memory, from false to false, among false maids in love, upbraid my falsehood. When they've said, as false as air, as water, wind, or sandy earth, as fox to lamb, or wolf to heifer's calf, pard to the hind, or stepdame to her son, yea, let them say, to stick the heart of falsehood, as false as Cressida.
Go to, a bargain made. Seal it, seal it. I'll be the witness. Here I hold your hand, here my cousin's. If ever you prove false to one another, since I have taken such pains to bring you together, let all pitiful goers between be called to the world's end after my name. Call them all Pandars. Let all constant men be Troiluses, all false women Cressids, and all brokers between Pandars. Say amen.
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 Amen! I will show you a chamber with a bed, which bed, because it shall not speak of your pretty encounters, press it to death. Away. And Cupid grant all tongue-tied maidens here bed, chamber, pander to provide this gear.
Hey. Nicely done, guys.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
Very nice.
Well,
Very
except for one little glitcho.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's the world we live in, but that's okay.
And of course, you blame it on everybody else. It wasn't
Yeah.
me that froze. I go like, why didn't she make her entrance?
I saw Jonathan Pryce in a production of Miss Saigon at the Royal Court Theatre in London. And they had these massive wagons that came in, right, for Bangkok. And they did the whole Bangkok number. And then they started moving out and it got stuck. And this poor girl was in a cage, like just trying to, and they tried to fill. They eventually had to come out with crowbars and tear the thing out.
No.
And the show stopped for 40 minutes.
Oh
Well,
my!
Wow.
They basically tore it apart so that they could go on. And, so that's part
This
of
was this was a minor glitch in comparison.
Truly.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think I might have frozen.
And you know what? I'm on the Ethernet, so you wonder. It makes you wonder.
Yes. Yes.
So aside from that,
Yes.
how did that feel? How was that for you guys?
A lot of the stuff that we've been talking about has been making more sense. And then Jamie, you and I had that conversation on Monday, and that little beat about the falcon
And the trencher and for all the ducks.
for all the ducks, yeah.
Right.
And it made sense to me today. It was the falcon is a tercel.
Rehearsal, that's right.
Yeah, right. So for me, there was just it just has been growing, and so today was just another step, I think, hopefully in the right direction of this man who's so enjoying what he's doing. And
Yeah, you're just in the format of Zoom. It's so limited.
Mm.
It's so awkward because how. I told you guys that at least when I saw it many years ago, and when we did it, it was a triangle. We had Troilus and Cressida with the distance and Pander at the top of the triangle, who was, and you can get that visual. you know. You can get them to finally get together when they make those oaths, you know, her breaking away and, you know, all of the physical things that you can do on stage, we're just limited here. I mean, I actually thought the dip kiss went pretty well.
I thought so too.
If I was to work on that some more, I would have had, let's see, I'd have to go this way. Ross turn this way and take her down, you know, so we see your hand coming in to take her.
Right.
But I actually think that you know, was a nice way to kind of solve that problem to the degree, you know, you can. But I'm intrigued by it, you know, for whatever, you know, I'm kind of intrigued by the form and how, you know, it's so much about the language. One of the things I was thinking about while you were doing it was, you know, is it valuable to do it with all the videos off and it's just the language? You know, could you make that clear with, you know, without any you know, music or any Foley, anything, but just the language to make this pop. Anyway, it's intriguing to me. Gideon?
As I repeat over and over, people went to hear a play, not see it. So if the language is there, everything else is negotiable. If the language isn't there, it doesn't matter what you do on the stage, it's not going to work. And today the language was there. It was really good. It was very clear. I took maybe 8 notes total. And I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I did too.
I think that separation of the characters of Troilus and Cressida, the Troilus being more kind of young and idealistic, and Cressida being more witty and savvy and calculating, really works. And it builds on the language rather than fighting the language. So
I felt like the savviness that we worked on last Tuesday and threw in, I lost a little bit of that in the play today.
I think I thought that at the very beginning, but then I think you picked it up again.
Yeah.
You picked it up, and when you started kind of smiling in that ironical way, that's when it really worked for me. I thought that was just right.
And that was okay, yeah, because that was at the beginning of the scene, you know, where you were a little more reticent anyway, and then you started that you know, that aspect of toying with and playing with the implication, innuendo, you know, that we did as an exercise throughout the whole scene. I agreed with Gideon. It started to play into it as you got more comfortable being in the presence, you know, of him. So yeah, I got the delineation between the two of them very clearly, and I also got Pandarus. Like, what are you talking? Why are you talking? Why aren't you doing?
Yeah, I think Pandarus's pleasure in bringing them together was really clear today. It was like as strong as it's been. It was good.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and also wondering why they're not making the move. Like what, you know? And it's almost like we talked about maybe those little asides. It's like, hey, and turning. I think that seemed to in this format to maybe be as opposed to when he's talking like this, or maybe sometimes to the audience, that he's going, hey, come on, what's wrong with you? Talk, do it.
Yeah.
That was a good bit.
Yep.
Yeah. Nathan?
Well, I was just going to jump in and quickly just remind everybody, if you have any questions of those you see here, you can just drop them in the Zoom chat. And I did such a great job of introducing everybody else. I forgot to say, hi, I'm Nathan Agin. I'm hosting and producing these workshops. You know, but that's just a minor detail, like the blip earlier in the scene. It's like, well, you know, we'll get over that. But what I love, and I think what we've been able to develop here is, you know, trying to recreate that the spontaneity and the enjoyment of being on stage that something might happen, and you just kind of have to roll with it. That when you're on, when you're doing things live in this medium, there can be this pressure of it has to go perfectly. And if somebody's screen freezes or we can't hear somebody, they're on mute, it can sour the experience for a lot of people. And so, and for those participants too. So I think, I think the way that we've created this is it's just an extension of the rehearsals. It's just another, time that you guys get together and work on this. I think that allowed for the space for us to have that blip and get right back into the scene. And so I thought you guys all handled that really well.
It didn't make me even sweat. I just thought something has gone terribly wrong here. I was going to start with "Oh, for a Muse of Fire," that sends them, just to throw that in as a filler, And,
I'd like to point out that sometimes on the stage in rehearsals or in the workroom, people do scenes which are so moving and brilliant and powerful, and then they may or may not appear on the stage at some point, so that the rehearsal process can sometimes be as moving and as powerful as a performance.
I have been in shows that were unbelievably, productions that were just astonishing in the rehearsal room, that never quite transferred, never quite got on the stage. You never got that thing. I mean, we probably all have experienced that in one way or another. Go ahead, Gideon.
I was just going to say, the point is that when you're working with such a great poet as Shakespeare, and you're really working on the text, these moments can happen, and they can happen on the stage, and they can happen in the rehearsal room, they can happen on Zoom, and they don't always happen. But when they do, it's as great as it ever is, because it's just. I mean,
we had that experience last Tuesday when we did that thing, and suddenly the dynamic started to pop. It was, what the universal Shakespeare line is whenever anything goes wrong, like this one. Or if you're on stage and somebody doesn't, make an entrance, or you go up, or something crashes behind you, or somebody freezes, the universal line that can you is more anon.
You see, you should have mentioned that to us at the beginning of this rehearsals.
Anything happens, just more anon.
But I'm taking note.
5 on repeat. 5, 5, 5.
Well, I would, I would be curious, maybe to hear for anyone who'd like to share. This is a play that most even actors, people that really love doing Shakespeare, might not be familiar with. And so, were there any challenges you found in terms of getting into the world of the play, or any specific challenges of, either as the director or playing one of the parts, that you found you had to work on, and that's, having this time has helped you, discover that?
Well, this format, I love this format that we've, from Merry Wives to this, right? To these shorter scenes that we're able to tackle a little better in these 4 one-week rehearsals, or one-day rehearsals over 4 weeks. And in this play is so, I find it a difficult play overall. This scene is actually pretty clear and straightforward. It seems that all the intentions are pretty laid out there. So, when you study the rest of the play, there's so many references in this play of Elizabethan times that are hard for us to capture, much less in this scene, except for a couple little places, but they seem to go by fairly quickly, and the intent of what's happening in the scene seems to really move this thing forward. So my experience with the language was just, other than just trying to figure it out as that first step of what you're saying, it's most of the rest of this play.
We lost the last sentence.
Then it's clearer than most of the rest of this play.
Yes.
This scene.
So one of the things that I'm always working with actors, and you all know it, is that, as I say, if you want the audience to mean their applause, you have to mean what you're saying. And even if the audience doesn't know exactly the reference or the term or the association, if the actor as the character means it, it does what you said. It goes by and it doesn't get in the way. And
Right.
so you feel that you're having this meaningful experience. And so I just want to encourage everybody that the more time we can spend on the text, as we have done this last week, well, 4 weeks, the richer becomes even a difficult play like Troilus and Cressida, which is in many ways Shakespeare's most difficult play, because we have a hard time getting behind what are the assumptions of the world that make it a satirical play. Once we work that out, I think it can come across to the audience, and I think we've all seen good productions of it where it does.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Gideon. The tone of this play is a difficult thing to capture.
Yeah.
You know, and the other thing is that it's a young play. You know, this Love's Labour's Lost, Two Gentlemen of Verona. You know, there's always I always think there's a quality of young Shakespeare showing off.
I don't think that's right. I think this is later than you're saying. This is right.
I don't. I think it's earlier.
No, it's around. It's before Hamlet.
But there are elements. I mean, he may have worked on it later, you know. But there's a density in this play that is really hard to decipher. I mean, I found it when I played Thersites, you know, at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival years and years ago. When Nathan talked to me about directing this scene, it was like, what did we do? What, you know, because it was like 1999 or something that we did that production, you know, and it was like I looked at the script and I was trying to remember what it is, and it was a very successful production at the time, you know, but it is dense. It is really dense.
It's dense. There's no question about it.
Well, we have our 3 actors on mute, which is unusual for actors to all be the quiet ones. But you know, and you're under no obligation to you know, jump in or chime in. A lot of people just like to let the work speak for itself. But you know, having worked on Shakespeare before, a lot of times there can be something where you feel like, oh, that really helped me understand the characters. And I know you guys talked a little bit about the differences between Troilus and Cressida and you know, their characteristics and all that. And do you feel like those were things that you learned during this process, and Pandarus too? Or did you feel like you had a good sense coming into these characters, or what might have helped unlock some things for you guys during this rehearsal process?
I felt like when I read this play, this was one of the few plays in Shakespearean plays that I had never read. I never tackled it. And just getting the context of the story of Troy and this romance sort of inserted in the middle of it, I was so overwhelmed. When I think I looked like a deer in headlights the first time we met, because I was like, this is way too complex, this play. But when I was able to get to this scene and Gideon really pulled it out and brought the relationship between these two people, the earnestness of Troilus and the manipulative coyness of Cressida into context, it became very much like a lot of the other romances of other romantic scenes in Shakespeare. And another thing, I haven't done any Shakespearean plays for many years, and nothing to write home about either, but just getting back to the language and antithesis and just you know, the rhyme and things that it was all a refresher for me. I hadn't worked on the text this deeply in a long time, and it was a wonderful refresher just working with Gideon and getting all of that, and Jamie as well. So they really helped me see the simplicity of this scene in a very complex play. So
That's great to hear.
Yeah, I'll jump in. It's the very first time we met, I thought it was really helpful the way we sort of laid down a foundation and discussed how are these two young lovers, and how is this scene the same and different than all of the other ingenues and similar seeming scenes in Shakespeare, you know, uh, um, and really kind of focusing on what are those differences, because so many times we see similarities, and focusing on the differences. How much of it is this one about front loading, getting to the bedroom instead of actually making a promise, or how honest are the promises, and you know, how much are they two people just swept up in what's going on with the rest of the play going on around them, and ultimately, you know, we made some really interesting discoveries at the 11th hour, you know, last week, that were sort of, oh, this kind of, you know, it's simpler than it seems in some ways in the execution and in the playing of it. But had we not had all of that sort of complexity and detail work before, it would have, I think it would have just been simple, instead of having the you know, the colors and the sort of nuance. So yeah, that was there was a lot to kind of figure out along the way, which was really great. Yes, and an absolute luxury being able to, you know, visit this once a week for a couple of weeks, and you know, mostly with the exception of trying to figure out how to stage it, you know, just looking at what the text says.
Great. Does anyone have anything else they want to share about the process? I will, as you're thinking about that, I will share a couple comments that have come in. Someone said, "Thank you all. It was fun to hear these words again. Great job." Someone else said, "Sapna was marvelous." Let's see. "Thank you to everyone for making this happen so beautifully. Kudos for keeping art happening for us in this weird format." Yeah, it is fun. I haven't seen too much like this, where people have the opportunity to really work and workshop things like that. So I think it's fun to see how people are exploring this medium. It obviously does not replace, you know, all being in the same place, but I think it'll be interesting to see how, you know, people continue to use this stuff, because of course, it allows people from disparate parts of the world to come together and work on Shakespeare at the same time. And, you know, now we've seen that the technology is good enough that, you know, it can happen pretty much in real time. So at least the idea of working on the text is something that you don't necessarily need to be in the same place for. So that's been really fun to explore and see how well you guys have done with this. I thought you've all done a really beautiful job. And you know, as actors, as artists, you know, to some degree, it all comes back to the text. That, you know, if that is really strong, you know, we can see whatever background each of us has, and that's kind of secondary to the story that, you know, we're telling.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I was going to mention just that the building blocks of the, you know, I was only able to join for an hour for 3 weeks.
Sure.
But the building blocks of being able to do that has been wonderful. Thinking back to the very first time we read through this, the second time we read through this, and the third, and then today, you know, it's really, you know, it has that feeling of a rehearsal. What happens in a rehearsal, right? Now, first day, it's the first day of school, and you know, and you do the text work, and you sit around, you talk about characters, and you get up on your feet, and you start incorporating some of that as you build. And this format, Nathan, that you've created, for me it's one of the more satisfying, because I am not a huge fan of Zoom readings, of even Zoom readings that I'm in. It's just not, I have a hard time. Even the material's good and the stuff, it's a tough sell for me personally. But so as an actor, this particular, I feel like I'm in a rehearsal, which is a very exciting part of, until that opening night, right? Of where you start building. And so in having just a scene, with 4 characters, we're able to kind of recreate that process and have a little bit of a feeling of freedom to make mistakes and grow. And that's what's been for me. That's why I love doing this work with this that you've set up. It's been just fabulous in that sense.
Great to hear. Great to hear. I'll just mention, since the actors have enjoyed this so much, people watching, we certainly hope to do this again, and maybe you will be part of the workshop experience, either as an actor or as an attendee, being able to sit in on everything. And I will also mention we have a scene presentation from King Lear tomorrow, October 28th at 5 p.m. Pacific. There's actually a couple different scenes they wanted to do for Lear, and so that'll be a lot of fun. I'll just kind of open it up if there's any of the actors want to share anything else about, or the director or the dramaturg about the process.
Your sound is weird. Is it for anybody else?
Oh, did it? Oh, you know what? Sometimes it goes staticky.
It is staticky.
Yeah.
There it is.
Is that better?
You're good.
Yeah. All right.
Oh yeah.
Let me.
All right. How far back should I go? Do I need to go?
No.
We could hear you.
40 minutes. 40 minutes.
Back to the top. I just want to say really quickly that how much I have enjoyed working with Ross and with Sapna and with Marcelo. And Nathan, thank you for including me in this. I just think it's fascinating. And I want to tell everybody out there, if you have a chance to listen to any of Gideon's, his talks on these, you really should, because the man is incredibly well versed. No pun intended. He's his experience, his expertise, his insight is worth its weight in gold.
Oh, thank you for the plug.
Agreed.
That's very nice.
I piggyback on that.
And I will, and I'll add to that that's been one of the joys of this experience, is being able to include a dramaturg and somebody, not somebody like Gideon, that is such, the dramaturg can so often be an overlooked role in the theater. It's been, everybody can attest to how helpful it's been to have Gideon here and how much they add to the process. And again, just by the nature of rehearsal time, it's so fleeting, and directors have so much else to do that a lot of times it's not given its due weight. So I know I'm very, very grateful for everybody, including Gideon, to be able to participate in this. And I think it's been a really wonderful experience.
I just want to add that it's my great pleasure to do it and to work with actors who are so good, and director who is so good, that I just have to just make a little hint, and then you take it, and then I see it, and then it's great. So bravo to everybody.
Well, Gideon, since we sort of build this as a work in progress or a rehearsal, I noticed you said you had 8 notes. Is there anything you want to just, any of those you want to just throw out there as that might be interesting for people to hear? There's a lot of nice things being said right now.
I was thinking the same thing. Because seven of them are for me. There's a half of one for you and half of.
No, there aren't that many, and they're pretty minor, but there are a couple of twos, T-O instead of ta.
Those are mine.
Those were Troilus, 2 of those. Slave 2 limit, and few words 2 fair faith. Pandarus, you dropped a word.
No.
Or you added a word. You said, and if you draw backward, and it's just and, because and means if.
Yes. I thought I'd make it better.
Yeah.
Obviously not.
I only had one for Sapna, which was, interestingly, the line that we mentioned, who shall be true to us? No, it was Pandarus's line we mentioned when we said for all the ducks in the river.
Yes.
I don't think you need to pause before for all the ducks in the river. That's a throwaway line.
Well.
Yeah, well, I gave him that.
Okay.
I added a that. I have a kind of stuff resides with you. I said I have a kind of stuff that resides with you.
Yes,
I remember adding it going, oops.
Yes, but I didn't. I noticed it, but I didn't take that note because it didn't change the meaning. It was fine. The only only note I would give you is, who shall be true to us when we are so unsecret to ourselves.
Yes.
I just didn't get the antithesis, and your voice went up in the end as a kind of, I don't know, it was almost a Valley Girl question. Whereas it's really a rhetorical
Well, that would be
question,
a
and your
thing.
voice has to go down at the end.
Okay.
So that was that note. And the only other thing,
Not the Valley Girl.
the only other note was Troilus, what will it be very early on? What if my sense is, if my imagination of it is like this, what will it be when it's the real thing? That speech, I think you sort of swallowed it. What will it be? And I think you can milk that. What will it be more to lead in?
And Ross couldn't have sounded like Spicoli in Ridgemont High.
Hey, Jamie.
You live in the valley, so maybe this was the valley production of Troilus and Cressida.
Hey, Jamie, thanks for, I didn't want to throw you under the bus, my friend.
No worries, man. No, that's the fun of it. I mean, it's not,
And I made a meal of it, and
you did.
I did because I wanted to, and I liked it. And Gideon, next time I do it, it'll be a throwaway with a small pause.
You also left out a word, whereupon, in your next to last. I think it's your last speech.
I did.
Yeah.
But since I added one before, I figured we were just.
Oh, so we're calling it even.
Trading,
Okay.
yeah.
Call it even, yeah.
Let's call the whole thing
I would
out.
just like to say about the work of the dramaturge that, number one, he is the complete servant of the director. He's trying to be the servant of the text, but he's also being a servant of the director. And a dramaturge who will try to overrule a director is not going to have a career. So when Jamie says, do it like this, I will always say, do it the way Jamie says. But I will say that after I'm sure that Jamie knows what my point is. And then he can decide, and then it's however he wants it to be. So
yeah, well, if you're a smart director directing Shakespeare, you have to defer significantly to the dramaturg.
you have to
You have to work together to make this. If you think the dramaturg is just there to give pronunciations or sense stress and that's it, you're cutting one arm off.
I agree, but the point I'm making is the director is best served by taking in what the dramaturge says, and then the dramaturg is served by saying, now you decide, and going with what he says, because what you don't want, there's enough tension between actors and director and between actors and text for the dramaturge not to add another layer of conflict and not to add the layer of conflict with the director. So very often when we have a full production, I will work with the director at great length to find out where we agree, where we might disagree, what I have to say about something. And when he decides or she decides it's going to be like this, and then I have to adjust and go along with that so we don't pull actors in opposite direction. But that being said, the best directors that I've worked with all respect the text. And dramaturge or no dramaturge, they really care about what Shakespeare's trying to say. And the fruits are that we get productions that move us and that mean something, instead of productions that just use Shakespeare to say some particular.
You're right. The text has to inform the way.
Yes.
It has to inform the way. You can't impose a way on the text, or it will be gobbledygook.
Bravo, exactly right.
Well, I think that's as good a note as any to kind of conclude the public portion of this evening. So again, I thank everybody that has attended. And again, I'll just give one more plug that you can attend King Lear Wednesday, October 28th at 5 p.m. And I will just say one point, Gideon talks about or mentioned that it is very wonderful in this experience to work with talented actors. And I will say to anyone listening who would like to be part of this, that even good actors show up and learn something over these 4 weeks. You get even better.
Gosh.
So even if you're, even if you aren't already great. It's taking this time that you can learn something, and so you just get better and better week after week. So
If you think you know everything, crawl into a hole and cover yourself up.
no, that wasn't what I was implying. That all
No,
of you
but I'm
guys
implying that there's
Yes,
always
yes.
something, no matter how
Yes.
it may seem, there's always something to learn and guard it. That's a great thing about being an artist and an actor and a director and a drama, is that it's infinite. That realm of learning, there's no end to it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you again for those attending. I will put you back into the theater lobby. Sapna has officially graduated on this scene. Fantastic. So, all right. Thanks again, everybody, for attending.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.